Hey, how's it going? Today is 10th of January, Wednesday, and we are taking a look at what kind of opportunities are available in the market. Within today's videos, next 5 videos or so, I'm going to be taking a look at what's happening in Bristol. That's where my business is based off. I'll touch on some of the opportunities available out there. I'm going to be taking a look at my own unique perspective on some of those opportunities and twisting our ankles because we're gonna be jumping because there's gonna be some opportunities how I understood those, right? So not necessarily how those opportunities are intended to be, perhaps how I understood it, right? So let's take a look at some of those opportunities and we can perhaps progress from there. First one would be safer shops uh, vest that let's try to understand this opportunity a little bit better. As I mentioned, I have understood this opportunity completely different compared to perhaps how it's been intended to be, right? Myself, coming into this, I don't think it's shoplifting that many business people should be taking a look at. I think that's how you can potentially reduce some of the operational cost. That's how I'm looking at it. Operational cost, not necessarily shoplifting. Shoplifting, I don't know how percentage, I don't know, the 2%, 5%, but either way, depending on the shop and perhaps some of the measures there, right? But I don't think it's shoplifting. I think it's overall operational cost. I'm gonna be taking a look at this opportunity as operational cost. I remember then taking part in the qualifications and everything, and there was two people in the group that were constantly complaining about kids entering the shops. The two lads in the group was operating within one of the grocery stores, chain shops within UK, right? And both of them were at managerial positions, and they were constantly complaining about kids just come in the shops and keep stealing things, I guess, but they just don't have what to do, I guess, on the streets. So they would come in the shop and take a bunch of things, right? So this is a problem that was outlined by the real life example of what was happening in the Bristol, right? But I think overall percentage wise, in damages, that would be perhaps 1, perhaps up to 3% of the cost. So myself, let's come into this and take a look at perhaps bigger picture and what perhaps the better ways of save money down the line, operational costs, and perhaps help these two managers in solving this problem entirely, perhaps. Let's take a look at this example. Shops without cashiers typically operate using technologies that automate the checkout process, eliminating the need for traditional cashiers. There are a few different models for these cashier stores, and they often leverage combination of sensors, cameras, computer vision, and artificial intelligence. I have spoken with a team that works on the models of artificial intelligence. Some of those are currently in the working, but to get all those pieces working, so that will be sensors, cameras, computer vision, all those pieces working together, we or your shop would need to have cameras, right? So what I'm saying is currently within Bristol there's a scheme where I haven't read it yet, so partially perhaps you would be compensated when it comes to purchasing some of those hardware. Perhaps cameras just would be one of those things, right? But yourself, you would need to consider many things that your shop can reduce overall cost, not necessarily those 3% of cost, perhaps operational cost and need of person sitting there, cashiers, right? I don't know how good that would be on smaller scale. Some of the projects, some of the shops are being launched in the world as we speak within places of Europe, perhaps in the bigger cities, but perhaps I don't know how that could potentially fit within bigger picture, right? So that's something that we're taking a look at. Perhaps there will be steps. Let's take a look at 6 steps and how that could potentially come into effect. First step, user authentication. That perhaps will be entry point, how a person will be able to enter shop in the first place from their entry and tracking. Perhaps that would be point 2. From there progressing into point 3, item recognition. Sometimes they would use about 6 points, right? perhaps weight on the shelf, and countering with AI or computer vision is 6 points, and that's how they could double check if a person actually picked something up. But there's a whole process, it might be too complex, right? Let's progress. Item recognition, the virtual card, so that perhaps could be some sort of software, and how software would be able to recognize and or track everything. From there, we progress into number 5, automated checkouts, and progress into number 6, received and confirmation, right? And where so some of the shops in the past were the system is still in the working, so I don't know about rolling out on a bigger scale, but that potentially be a process, right? And right now, let's come back to perhaps ways of sourcing finance and where to begin, other than perhaps having more cameras in the shop, and later perhaps how compatible those cameras might be. Perhaps working look how compatible those cameras might be down the line with perhaps some of the systems, AI systems, right, and some of those projects in the making, right? If they would be compatible, great, right? So worth considering some of those factors. Now then, we're taking a look at sourcing finance, right? Eligible business can access 50% match funding. So 50% of the cost potentially for hardware or equipment you can source from government or within Bristol, right? And how that could potentially implement some of those measures. They would highlight theft, in-store theft, but I think it's too much. Not. If you were to consider operational cost, theft, I don't know, as I mentioned, 2%, perhaps 3%, having a need of having a staff in the shop, that would be dramatic changes in your overall projection and operational costs within 5 years. And how much you would need to invest into your hardware or equipment, perhaps that would be additional cost there of need of having a person there. Perhaps person would be able to do something else if he's interested, or perhaps stocking up the shelves and everything, but need of having person standing there all day. Perhaps a person can come in, stock the shop, and if he's interested, do something else with his time. Perhaps that would be a better cost-saving solutions there. To qualify for funding, perhaps it's worth reaching out to the team. I don't know, I haven't done anything with this team. Most likely it's a very effective team, and everything what's happening with the team might be great, right? I haven't done anything with this particular team. They might have hired a lot of people that are busy doing a lot of things, right? That is responding. But either way, we're taking a look at the Bristol area, and that would be a Bath, Northeast Somerset, South Gloucestershire, and or Bristol, right? So that would end the 50% match funding. But before entering or purchasing anything, you always consider reaching out to the team. And as of now, it should be the scheme is available, I think, until 31st of March 2024. So there might be some opportunities there. Send me a check for for doing a promo, yes. Yourself, if you're interested in learning more, I have published a book, Game Strategy. In this book, I'm taking a look at, I'm looking to introduce as many people with the world of business as I possibly can. And where else would you begin if not improving your understanding? Some of those concepts that I'm sharing in the book, that would be 3 different phases. First one would be doing a lot of research and trying to understand as many things as I can with regards to business. From there, progressing into phase 2, taking action based on information and your findings, and beginning operating as a business, setting up a company and acquiring customers. From there, progressing into phase 3, where you potentially can reallocate your resources and invest in different ventures. That will be the overall process. If it's something that you are self-interested in understanding more, I have published this book, and hopefully I can share this book with as many people as I can. You can find it QR code in the Connect Company's website below. There might be some cost savings with perhaps or perhaps only what equipment you would be able to purchase, since in United States, right, they not necessarily would allow you to purchase some equipment from some manufacturers, right? But that was something that was happening in the US. If you were to purchase, I don't know, let's put things into perspective, like cheapest equipment, right? Not necessarily that the equipment would be compatible just because of the way how that equipment to be manufactured, right? Some chips within that equipment or something, right? So perhaps there's a particular equipment here that you would need to purchase, right? I hope that that equipment not necessarily would be overpriced. So that would be 50% of match funding there. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next one.